Alright guys, so this is a recap of game number 6, no, number 7. The Penguins game, Rangers-Penguins. Rangers take on the Penguins at home, at MSG, and that was not good. It's been a few days, it took me a few days to just kind of like think about things a little bit and kind of figure out what this game meant. So the Rangers lose in overtime, 50-something seconds into overtime. Ryan McDonough makes a horrible play, but we were only in overtime because Shattenkirk made a pretty bad play. Was it really Shattenkirk's fault? I don't know. I mean, that whole goal was like, it's a lot of luck, right? It's like, you know, Crosby, that goal goes in, what, 1 in, like, 15, 1 in 20, maybe 1 in 100. Should Shattenkirk have played the puck, he should have realized with Sidney Crosby not touching the puck that that puck was either going to be dead if he touched it or dead if he touched it. There's really no other option for why Sidney Crosby was not going to touch that puck. And I guess my problem is that, like, he not only did he touch it when he shouldn't have, but like no power, no force. He basically just like tapped it to be like, okay, so you're not touching it because it was a hand pass or whatever, so let me touch it and see if he... Oh, okay, did he backhanded it and went in the net. So, you know, the game itself was another example of the New York Rangers playing less than a period... Well, like around like a period to half the game. They played a good second period until the end, and then they let in that goal to tie the game up at 3. But, you know, coming out of the gates, they were down 2-0 early on in the first period. Goal came in 43 seconds into the game. Kessel comes down, horrible defense. Kessel just comes in, right boards, snipes it, 1-0 Penguins. Hagelin does the same thing later on, right boards, comes down, horrible defense. There's a 2-on-1 again, he snipes it. Kessel went like high blocker, I think, on Lundqvist, and then Hags just went top cheese over the glove. And yeah, it looked really bad. And then, you know, Rangers wind up coming back. They storm back. They score 3 in a row. They take a 3-2 lead, and then they blow that lead with 2 minutes left in the period. At the end of the second, then they regain the lead 4-3 off of a good play by Darren and Grabner, I think. And lo and behold, they blow that lead with 50 seconds left to go. So the Rangers are having trouble starting games, starting periods, and ending periods right now. And that's not a good recipe. So anyway, this is a symptom of a bigger problem, and I think you could look at this one of two ways. You could say this is a team that finds ways to lose games, which is true because, you know, they did find a way to lose this game. But you could also look at it another way and say that this is a team that, despite losing basically every game, I mean, they beat Montreal. Montreal's just as bad as the Rangers, so it's not really a big accomplishment. But even though they're 1-5-1 or whatever their record is, they could have won, I think, every single game, except maybe the Devils one. Maybe the Devils game was the one game they really got outplayed the whole time. But if you think about it, the first game, they lose 4-2 against Colorado. Well, you know, they outshot Colorado like 40-20, and Varlamov had a hell of a night. So, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, Varlamov stole that game, but the Rangers could have won that game. You know, it's like there's nothing to panic about after that. Toronto, they had a horrible start, and they went down 5-1. But then they came back in the second and tied at 5-5, and then, you know, it's like that's anyone's game. They wind up losing 8-5 because, you know, that Marner goal, bad challenge, so that goes to 6-5. Then the bad challenge leads to power play. They take the power play, they put it to 7-5. Then it becomes 8-5. I don't remember if it was an empty net or what. But, like, they theoretically could have won that game if they had just played the whole game instead of playing the second period. And then, you know, the other games, like St. Louis, they could have won. I think they outshot St. Louis in that game as well. Columbus, they could have won. They outshot them in that game. So it's like, you know, even though the team has lost like almost every game, they're playing well enough to win, and they're just really not getting a whole lot of puck luck. That's one way to look at it, but then the other way is that like there's some serious problems with this team, problems with the defense. I have a huge problem with the way the defense is being utilized right now. Shattenkirk and McDonough are both struggling a lot, and the Pittsburgh game was a perfect example of how much they're struggling. The difference is that like they've been split up the entire year, other than the first game. I don't see why you don't just put them together and see how they go. They practice all training camp together. Why not see what happens? Anyway, I think they play the Islanders tonight. If the Rangers lose to the Islanders tonight, I think Alain Vigneault gets fired. I don't know who they replace him. They probably will just take the path of least resistance and put Ruffin as the head coach. I don't think that's the right idea. I think they need a new voice in the locker room. Worst case scenario is Scott Arniel gets the coaching, like the head coach position. If that happens, I might just blow my brains out. Arniel's a horrible, horrible offensive coach. But anyway, so we'll see what happens. I guess if the Rangers lose this game, that's goodbye for Alain Vigneault. And if they do lose the game and they don't fire him, then we have some big problems with management because. You look at AV's track record, and it's been downhill ever since really the first year where they went to the Stanley Cup Final. It's been downhill. Eastern Conference Finals after that, a lot of injuries. They probably should have won the Cup that year if they had a lot of injuries, but it's also not great coaching. Then you have the Pittsburgh series where they got absolutely humiliated. They lose in 5 games. And then you had the Ottawa series, which is a series in which the coach single-handedly lost that series because of his bad decisions. So we'll see what happens. Next video I make, might be talking about AV losing his job, but we'll see. Anyway, that was Game 7.